All right.
We think we're back.
We're hoping we're back. I'm trying to double check.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
we're
that
live again.
earlier stuff was definitely a jinx, right? Like holy cow.
You know what? It's what happened. It's fine. Sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties, so hopefully we're good now.
We're just going to go on with it like we are. So, Kirsten, why don't you let's start this over again.
We're gonna start right from the top.
Like a redo. Yeah.
All right. Waiting for that slide to start up. All right. Before they were mermaids, before they were painted as beautiful women with flowing hair and shimmering tails, the sirens were something else entirely. Something older, something wrong. In the earliest Greek accounts, sirens weren't creatures of the sea alone. They were part bird, part woman, winged figures perched along the dangerous coastlines, existing in a space that wasn't quite sky and wasn't quite earth. They didn't chase their victims. They didn't need to. Because what made the sirens truly terrifying wasn't how they looked, it's what they knew. Ancient sailors believed their songs could reach inside the person's mind and pull out their deepest desires, whispering promises of knowledge, of glory, of answers to questions no one else could answer. And once you heard it, you didn't just want to follow, you had to. Ships would drift off course, crews would lose control, men would walk willingly into the sea, towards voices that felt more real than the world behind them. The Greeks didn't just see sirens as monsters, they saw them as inevitabilities, as forces tied to death, to the unknown, to the thin and fragile boundary between life and whatever waits beyond it. And they weren't alone, because across the world, from cold waters of the north to the vast oceans of Polynesia, stories echo of voices in the water, calling, waiting, singing. The sirens you think you know, they don't exist. Not at first. The earliest sirens from the ancient Greek mythology were not mermaids. They were something far stranger. Half woman, half bird. Winged bodies perched on jagged coastal rocks with the human faces turned towards the horizon waiting. They weren't creatures of the sea alone. They belonged to the edge of reality, between sky, land, and something beyond both. Some scholars believe they evolved from ancient soul bird myths, being that carried spirits from the living world into death, and that connection lingers, because sirens were never just killers, they were escorts. The sirens' weapon wasn't violence, it was understanding. Their songs didn't just sound beautiful, it spoke directly to the deepest parts of whoever heard it. The promised glory, secrets, answers to questions you didn't even know you had. And sailors alone, exhausted, drifting between survival and madness, were perfect targets. Ships would veer, men would abandon everything. Some would leap into seas willingly, chasing a voice that they believed was salvation. But the truth waiting for them, bones scattered along the shoreline. Rot, silence, stillness. The Roman writer Pliny the Elder described creatures that could lull men into a trance, only to tear them apart. No dramatic struggle, just the quiet end of someone who listened too long. Origins twist like currents. In one version, told by Ovid, the sirens were once human, companions of Persephone. When she vanished into the underworld, they searched endlessly, begging the gods for wings to continue the hunt, which they were granted and transformed. In other tellings, they were punished and reshaped into something unnatural for failing her. Either way, their story begins with loss, which raised a chilling possibility. What if song isn't just a lure? What if it's grief? Sirens appear in ancient funerary arts, carved into graves as symbols of mourning and passage, not just monsters, but reminders that death doesn't always come violently. Sometimes it calls gently. The most famous encounter comes from the Odyssey. Odysseus is warned in advance, don't listen. So he prepares his crew to plug their ears with wax. But Odysseus wants to hear it. He binds himself to the mast of the ship, and when the sirens begin to sing, he breaks. He begs to be released, he screams commands, he thrashes against the ropes. Every part of him is consumed by the need to go to them. The only thing that saves him is that he cannot move. And the lesson, sometimes the most dangerous thing in the world is what you want. In another legend, there's a different kind of resistance. The musician Orpheus faces the sirens not with silence, but with defiance. When they sing, he plays. His music rises like a shield, drowning out their voices in something even more powerful. For once, the hunters are silenced, but not entirely. One man still hears them, one man still jumps, because no defense is perfect when the call is personal. Now, traveling farther north, the Greeks were not alone in fearing the sea. Norse mythology tells of beings that echo the sirens but feel colder. The Hafru are sea women, and the Nikor are dark water spirits. They appear before storms, they sing, and they lure. But the Greek sirens promise knowledge and glory. These spirits feel inevitable. They don't tempt you with dreams. They pull you towards fate. They still sink ships. Sailors vanish. Eyes meet something in the water, and that's the last moment that matters. No seduction, no curiosity. Just the quiet uncertain just the quiet certainty that you were never going to survive. Across the vast Pacific, the ocean tells a different story. Not of sirens, but of spirits that feel just as dangerous. In Polynesian mythology, the sea is alive with guardians, shapeshifters, and watchers. Among them are the Mo, lizard like water spirits, often female and often beautiful. They can take human form, appearing beside rivers, waterfalls, or hidden pools. They lure men closer and closer, and then the water takes them. Not always out of cruelty, sometimes out of territory, and sometimes out of balance. Then there are figures like Moana Nu Kalua, a Hawaiian sea goddess who appears mermaid like, but wields storms like weapons. She she just she doesn't just lure, she prevents, raising violent seas to stop travelers from crossing beyond safe waters. And then there are other spirits, connected to places, to bloodlines, to land itself. Protectors or destroyers, depending on how they are treated. What makes these beings different from the Western sirens is this: they aren't just temptations, they are warnings. The ocean is not yours, and if you forget that, it will remind you. Over time, the sirens changed, feathers softened into scales, the wings folded into fins, and the myth blended with myth until the bird women of Greece became the mermaids we recognize today. But their meanings shift too. In Divine Comedy, the siren is revealed as something rotten beneath the beauty, a symbol of temptation, illusion, and decay. A warning that not everything that calls to you should be answered. Across cultures, oceans, and across centuries, the story repeats: a voice, a pull, a choice. Maybe sirens were never just creatures. Maybe there's something deeper: a pattern, a reflection of the way that we're drawn to things we know and we know we shouldn't follow. And maybe somewhere out there in the dark water between here and nowhere, something is still singing. So that's all I have.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a good place to start.
it is.
Do you want to cite some sources?
Oh,
before we go into
yes,
it?
actually.
Just to
Thank you.
cover the bases.
Huh, yeah. I Jamie, I will always forget to cite my sources.
The
So,
internet will remind you later. Don't
oh,
worry.
the internet absolutely will. The site so that I used was
Britannica.
britannica.com/topic/sirens Greek mythology. Another one is www.nationalgeographic.com/culture/article/sirens mythology, and www.seawitchbotanicals.com/blogs/mermaids mythology tales of Siren, Selkies, and other sea folk. So,
Yes, you're back, Bert.
you're back, Bert.
Never heard of him. No.
Who's Bert?
Bert who? Well, this is a very interesting thing because it kind of covers a lot of stuff, right?
Yes.
And through history, antiquity of history, there's been a siren-esque being or entity or deity even in many cultures around the world that really never came into contact with each other in the time and era of its prominence. So that's interesting.
Hmm.
Kind of the same way that things were built, like pyramids around the world in cultures that never connected, or at
Mm-hmm.
least seemingly never could have connected. Uh, so it's a fascinating thing to me. It's always been of an interest. Um, but I want to take this to a slightly fun spin for a moment. And the one thing every time someone talks about a siren that stands out to me is a scene from the 2000 film "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" And if you've seen it, you understand that it's a slightly offbeat spin on the Odyssey. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
and there is a scene where George Clooney is Ulysses in this case. He believedly to his friends goes missing um, because he had hidden contact with these three washwomen who were deemed to be the sirens because they were singing while they were washing. And all they find with his clothes is a toad. And the line that always sticks to me is those darn sirens turned him into a horny toad. As it's based in the South, and you've got these terribly comedic accents for Southerners back in the 30s, and so forth. So if you have not seen this movie, I'm not doing it any justice. I do think you should see it, though. It's you'll thank me later. But "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" from 2000, some of the Coen brothers, so it's a bit offbeat to begin with, part of their style. But George Clooney is the star back in the day, and many others are in it that are big stars now, or stars then, I guess too. But
Okay.
they'll be familiar. That spin of it takes you back to, and I read the Iliad and the Odyssey back in the day as well, and the Odyssey was much more interesting to me because the travels and the trials that everyone went through to make it home, like the journey,
Oh, agreed.
coming out of a horrid situation with the Battle of Troy, but the journey home was just incredible, and coming across the sirens was part of that story. Really neat. Again, I'd recommend reading the book someday. It's not a casual read, so I'd say you have to
It's
be into the
not.
thing. But it can be. It depends on your interest of it. But again, I'd recommend reading it. But those kind of things are they're stories, right? And that takes you kind of in a different direction of folklore, which is stuff we talk about here often. And I wish Jeff and Sean were with us to kind of analyze this a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
uh, our friends from Penn State. But it's the tale is unique in every place it's shared, but it's got the common thread,
Right.
of a draw, an attend, some kind of attunement to their being, whatever it is they're doing, and a peril that befalls you should you fall prey to it, or you allow yourself to become engrossed by it. And to me, it kind of it strikes me as a way of excluding or exceptioning a mistake. If your ship gets drawn off course or veers off course, it was because of the sirens. Not your navigational skills, not an error in
Right.
calculations, not the weather, or some extraordinariness of a tide or wave or whatever. These are ships
Hmm.
with relying on wind. So you could have just done a tack error and all of a sudden you're off course. But no, the sirens did it. Or somebody has a little bit too much grog at the pub and stumbles out to the sea. And the sirens drew him in. It was your catch-all escape of responsibility. And I think that's stretching maybe a little bit, but it kind of seems like that too sometimes. A lot of times folklore tales are meant to teach things, lessons to not do something. We talk about that a lot here.
Right.
But this one is a little bit different because it could be the way of accepting your behavior or excluding it from being your fault. I think that's kind of curious.
I know the one thing that I didn't know about was kind of sirens being an escort for death, and how they have depictions of them on some graves. That's something that I never thought about. Like, the little bit that I've known of sirens, like, is just like, oh, they lure you to your death. Like,
Yeah.
that's what they want. I've seen a couple depictions of they would do it because of territory, things like that. I've never actually, now thinking of it, Pirates of the Caribbean, there was a scene where they had sirens taking people to their death, and it was more of like an escort. The people were already dead, so that makes sense now. Um, they are a creature where I wish that they could be actually real, because I think that would be terrifying, but at the same time fascinating, because I'm fascinated by water, but I'm also terrified of it. And for a being like that's half human, half fish, or if we're gonna go with the Greek way, half human, half bird, I want to see it.
Oh yeah, and that's a whole other thing too. We
Yeah.
associate to the sea because that's our common
Hmm.
current understanding or presentation. But go back in antiquity as well. But the half man, half woman, either way, bird element goes through all kinds of culture. And we talked about it here. Chad, you did an episode on Yurei in Japan,
Right.
and Tengu are part of that mythos as well, which is that bird, woman, man kind of entity that ties in with the spirits there. So, and then Egypt, Taurus is another one. I brought a whole list up here actually. Harpies, and also in Greek mythology as well as sirens. But it's Slavic and Russian folklore, Hindu and Buddhist mythology. They're present. There are many others. There are some in South America and the Mayan and Incan mythos as well. It's everywhere. It's all around the world in times of an era that weren't connecting to each other. So that again, trying to tie that together, that's really curious. Like, how do we all know this, but
Right.
yet we never talked about it? What is that?
Or was there communication between them?
Maybe
There's a possibility.
Hmm.
you're talking about aliens now, aren't you?
I will say, listen, the
Yep.
pyramids have the hieroglyphics of a UFO.
Hmm.
How do you think they built the pyramid?
Hmm. I've been listening to some books that are diving into that, and so my mind's going off in different directions. So yeah, it is interesting.
Well,
Well, yeah,
here's a
and that is, there has to be some connective tissue then, right, of some way or another, or is it something that is just so prevalent in that era of that timeline that doesn't necessarily, it may not one exist anymore,
yeah.
or it is present but not visible to us in the way we see things currently.
Right.
And that gets deep a little bit, I guess, but either or could be possibilities.
Hmm.
I'd
When
like,
you open the paranormal book, Jamie, the pages are all over the place.
yeah. I would like to still believe, because again, what reading the Odyssey in like high school and stuff, I think my favorite thing was a kid in my class raised their hand because they still didn't. It didn't click with them that in the Odyssey it was the half bird, half women. They thought like it was still the mermaids.
Mhm.
They went, "What if these are just manatees and they can sing?" And I'm like, you know what? Yes, that is our that is our siren is a manatee. But no, I wish I could remember what the TV show was because this again was years ago. I know Josh Gates was in it, but it was like it was like these paranormal videos that they would like get and they would try to debunk them. And one of them was a video of a siren swimming in the ocean.
Yeah, I remember that.
And they tried to debunk it, and then I just remember at the end they were like, "Well, this is how a siren would actually look." And it was like a whole like 3D recreation of for them to live in the like the water and everything. They would be a lot thicker than what we have depicted sirens as. And I wish I could remember what that TV show was because it was actually really good.
I don't know that it was Josh Gates. I think it was Fact or Faked Paranormal
Oh,
File.
yes, it
Yeah.
was. That was that.
Yeah.
But
Well, they're all, again, they all kind of ran concurrently or still run concurrently, perhaps even. But Gates is still around. I think the show's passed on, but
yeah, I thought he was part of it.
they might have been. It's had a couple seasons.
Yeah. I'm just.
So he was he was a guest investigator a couple times.
Okay. There you go.
That's it.
So,
Also,
Yeah, that's like currently, with was it Paranormal Files or something? There's a show where people send in their clips. Like every once in a while, stuff will pop up around water and like, what was that?
mhm.
Hang in there, kind of thing. And these clips are never long enough. First of all, to really get a good look, and like just like every Bigfoot photo, they're all grainy, and if they're images, like we had the episode on the oh my gosh, drawing blank. Champ, the sea cryptid or the water cryptid in Lake
yeah.
Champlain.
Mhm.
There's one picture, that is a regular 35 millimeter camera, like from back in the 70s, so, and the negative's been lost through time. So there's no way to, other than use the actual photograph to do any kind of analysis of it. And it's been deemed to be realistic, by professionals, but it's one picture, and that's all you get.
Right.
How many times have we seen, stuff about the Loch Ness monster, things of like that nature, Ogopogo, in British Columbia, our first episode actually way back when, those there were those snippets of information that just aren't enough to give us anything tangible. Nothing, and just like spirits in the paranormal world, no one's walking out the wall and introducing themselves. These things aren't coming up to shore and saying, "Hey, I'm such and such."
Right.
There is perhaps a reason that they're not engaging. If being real, they're not engaging with people as they may have done in the past, as all these stories present they have. It's curious why.
Bert had a comment that sirens are big in Irish folklore.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Hmm.
I mean, with all their coastlines and everything, I kind of wish I would have looked more into the Irish, like folklore and stuff. I mean, they've got the Kelpie. So, well, that's, yeah, it's Celtic. But yeah, why would they not have sirens?
Yeah.
Yep.
He also said there's always the blurry furball called Bigfoot.
I know Germany has a little bit on sirens. And I only remember that because there is a poem that I had to memorize in German. And it was about a girl who was betrayed by a sailor and she threw herself off a cliff and became a siren. Which, it's a choice.
Yeah.
That's a choice. But yeah. Um, Again, just like every other cryptid, I want to believe. I wish. I feel like the world would be a lot more fun and a lot more terrifying.
Yeah, I kind of agree that um, I don't think this one's real, but it would sort of be fun if it were. I mean, not necessarily for a guy though, because if they're going to lead you to your death.
Well, is it? Could it just be guys? Like I know, like all the stories are of sirens luring men, but could they?
Maybe.
Could they affect women?
Good question.
Well, in the era of like the Odyssey, men were the sailors. Men went out to fight the wars, and this was a war party returning, from the battle. A lot of times there were women were bad luck, bad omens to have a woman on a ship, even into the 1800s. With a lot of superstition.
Hmm.
Um, so it was men, out there on the water.
Right.
So it's a good question, and I think it sounds like you're volunteering to find out, right?
Yeah.
I just
Uh,
saw the one comment.
We could
well,
get a raft and put you out in the Susquehanna. See what happens.
There
I
might
don't
be a
know.
siren in there. Yeah. Okay. I'll go out
so
and if I find a siren, and I don't return, we know it
right.
affects women.
So, well, hit a couple comments here. Bert said Kelpies or Scotland will be there in 3 weeks. I think he's rubbing it in. And
Again,
they're doing the Kelpie tour.
I would like Bert to know that in 3 weeks I will also be in Scotland. Not true.
I
Just
wish.
every time the way that he talks about Scotland, I'm just coming along. Road trip. Let's go.
Yeah. And then this was what we were all sort of giggling about. Are there lesbian sirens? Maybe.
You know what? It's 2026. It's fine.
yeah, double minded. Why not?
Yeah.
So yeah. Jamie, are you on the same page with this one?
It's a good folklore. It's a great
It's
story.
good.
Um,
Hmm.
it's a curiosity why it's around the world. Not just isolated to a region or an area. But I need more.
Hmm.
It's the same question as what if mermaids were mermaids or mermen be equal, were a thing. Why have there never been a corpse or a skeleton found anywhere?
Right.
So
Apparently, there's been photos, but again,
well, we talked about in the hoax episode.
yeah,
There was a combination of there was one a very prominent one back in the early 1900s that was eventually able to be identified as like a lot of fish bones and a mismatch of things created to make it look
yeah.
Hmm.
realistic, but not it wouldn't hold up to science, unfortunately. Yes, Stefan's on a roll here. Equal opportunity offender slash killer. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, um, if you're ever curious on siren sightings or mermaid sightings, New Zealand has a website that literally marks, they put pin drops of everywhere that they've seen a siren. My favorite thing about that is there's two on the coastline. There's a total of three. There's two on the coastline. The third one's in the dead center of New Zealand. I, I have questions about that one.
Okay, maybe it was an aquarium.
They're in a puddle somewhere.
Or a river, or
Could be. Could
A
be.
nice freshwater siren.
Be a big glass of water. I don't know.
Oh my! I think we're spiraling down the
We're,
waterfall.
we're getting weird. Listen, we had to restart this episode. It's gonna get weird.
It was weird from like the beginning. We knew there were going to be issues tonight. So
Oh, oh my gosh.
Best episode right now.
Yeah. Well, let me add to that thought. I before I say anything more, I want to believe that this is real. Like I wish kind of thing. But the reality is, I just can't. I can't put an official paranormal or true story statement on this. I can't stamp it that way. Although I'd like to.
hmm.
And I'd like to be wrong. So, you know, let's hope we eventually get proven wrong someday.
Just like Mothman, I want to believe.
There you go. Perfect.
Yep.
All right.
Wow.
Things.
That was fun, Kirsten. Thank you. That was really cool.
It was a nice little quick one, but it was fun.
And now I got to go back and watch Oh Brother Where Art Thou. So give me something to do this
You're
weekend.
welcome. Okay, okay. Here's my counter to that. It's a siren. Mermaids, they can have different colored tails. So what if a siren has a white tail? Lady in white.
Possible.
Well, and actually, I'm going to go back to Our Brother Where Art Thou. The sirens in the film are wearing white dresses.
Oh,
So
there it is.
this is like that 7 degrees moment, right? We'll connect a couple dots eventually, make it work.
Mm-hmm.
We
I
got
think
it
Bird
there.
has,
There's
Bird
a
has
lady
homework now
in
too.
white. You know what? We were talking about up in the north, the Norse and everything. It's cold up there. Plus,
Yeah,
most Norse are blonde, so you know what?
this is
Lady in
this is
white.
that. Yeah, the albino siren. Yeah, okay. Now you're right. Yeah, we've gone off the rails completely.
Oh my. Well, got to have fun with it, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So, well, should we move on?
please.
Yes.
All right. Um, so I threw some our new artwork up in the corner there as well.
Yeah, which is really cool.
It's so cute. I love it.
Yeah, thanks to I have a friend Kayla Nixdorf who did this for us, and I appreciate it. But anyway, next week, you guys know anything about what's
Well, I
that?
take this. I'll take this.
You?
Yeah, yeah. We usually do the person who's not doing the next week to do
No,
it.
the person who does I should be doing next week.
You
Yeah.
should.
Yeah.
The
Oh
person
yeah,
that hosts does this.
man. It's like it's almost like I'm not here every week to know what's going on.
Jamie,
It's all right,
Yeah.
Jamie.
we're going
All
to have
right,
to talk with HR later.
again.
Again.
Wait, which one of you is HR? Which one is it? Me?
It's you. That's the
It
problem.
is you.
That's I don't remember anything.
Anyway, so it's really going off the rails. But anyway, do either of you know anything about the Williamson tunnels?
I do not.
No.
No, I don't at all.
It's an interesting thing. They were built and nobody knows why. They know who built them. They know who spent the money to have them built, but they don't know why. So we'll dig into that a little bit next week. Should be a great episode, Jamie. Is that better?
That's way better. You've been
All right.
practicing.
Good. So anyway, next week, March 14th, the Williamson Tunnels, which are in Liverpool. The week after that, April 21st, Jamie's doing Monte Cristo Homestead in Australia. The week after that, the 28th, Kirsten has the Exorcism of Annalise Michel. We checked the pronunciation of that today, so we're good on that one. The week after that, May 5th, I can't believe we're talking about May already. But I'm going to do Shadows on College Hill, The Old Hospital Awakens. The week after that is the Magnolia Plantation in Derry, Louisiana. And May 19th is Celtic Cryptids. There's a tongue twister. So
You're welcome.
So yeah, looking forward to all those. They sound like great stories, and hopefully our hosting platform works a little better those weeks than it did today.
Hopefully it doesn't crash.
So ways to contact us. Bert may have to take a side trip to Liverpool, huh? Ways to contact us: www.jot-nixparanormal.com. That's our website of our team. Check us out there. You can find out more information about the Paranormal Lens team on there as well. Email us at info@paranormal-lens.com. That's a new email address. We still have the old one, so if that's what you've got, that's okay. But reach out to us. We'd love to get fan mail. We'd like to get hate mail. We'd like to get any mail at this point. Jamie?
Anything other than advertisements would be great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Then if you want to check out all our social media links, all the things like that, we've got Linktree, which is linktr.ee/paranormal lens. We're going to work on getting some of our personal TikToks and stuff up there, so you have a way to reach out to us directly. But check that out. And if you want to support the show, not that we're going anywhere, but it does, we like to defray the cost of what we are doing here. There's a buy me a coffee option, which is buymeacoffee.com/paranormal9. And that just helps defray the cost of, our production, some of our research tools, things like that. If you are seeing the video, there's a QR code there. We'd love any donation that you can give. We really appreciate it. Anything I missed, guys?
I think you got it all.
I think you
Perfect.
got it.
That's good. Let's see. We're going back here. So many different buttons to push here. So anyway, anything to follow up on here before we sign out on this interesting evening?
I think we should go while the getting's good for some breaks.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, Days. Thank you. And it's always fun when we can get together like this. And for all our listeners, whoever's out there in the world, wherever you're finding this, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you. Any comments about the episode, please drop it in the platform you're on. We'll see that. If not, you have our contact information. Drop us a line if there's an episode you'd like us to do. With the schedule that you see coming up is while it's fixed here, it's not set in stone. We can certainly move things around. We always look for listener submissions for topics and things of interest to you. We're happy to do it. We just need a little time to research it to make sure we do justice to it. But we're always in on it just to say so, and we'll go.
Yep.
But again, thank you. We appreciate you being here with us.
So, Kirsten, again, thank you for tonight's episode. So,
Absolutely.
as we wrap it up, just think about this. The ocean keeps its secrets, and the siren may be one of them. Not just a story, but a lore. Because sometimes people don't just disappear, they're called. Stay alert, stay respectful, and stay curious. We'll see you again next week. Good night, everybody.